Hello there, thanks a lot for coming by. PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard. And boy, the highlight of this poster is the Yardbirds, 1963, when Eric Clapton, their lead guitarist, was just 18 years old. Wow. Here it is, an authentic, original, and yeah, somewhat frayed along the right-hand side there, 20 by 30 inch paper, vintage concert poster from Reading, England. And you know, it's not just the Yardbirds. As you can see on here is, legendary John Mayall and his Blues Breakers at the beginning of Mayall's career, and the Paramounts, who eventually would become Procol Harum. Wow, so that's a lot of talent on here. So normally I say, okay, from the top, right, with these concert posters, but come on, how can we ignore the bottom half of this poster and this amazing image of a wailing, blues or R&B singer? Now, that was not so, somewhat unusual, but not rare or anything for vintage, rock posters from England from the era where the beat groups would play a lot of R&B music. I mean, American R&B was just so, loved by these English beat groups. Just think of the Beatles and the Stones, their first albums, and how many covers there were. So, these nightclubs, they really, promoted R&B nights and so forth. And, clubs like the Ricky Tick would have figures like this. It's not anybody in particular. I don't believe it's meant to be Howlin' Wolf or Otis Redding or anything. It just shows, an American R&B singer as a nice logo, I guess you could say, for their nights when they're presenting this kind of music. So, up there at the top then, getting to the wording, and sure enough, see, there it is, right there at the top, upper left, R&B Saturdays. Really promoting that kind of music, which again the groups just really loved doing. This was before most of them were writing their own material. And then it says St. John's Ambulance Hall, Chatham Street in Reading. Now if you're not sure where Reading is, for us Americans, I've got a handy map to show you. Here is Reading, and it gives you a good idea there. It is about an hour west of London. So then, interestingly on this poster, I guess you could say the word Saturdays was sort of double used, not just for R&B Saturdays, but also then you could say it says Saturdays from 8 p.m. and November dates. That's just so quaint and informal. I just love this. And of course it's not typeset, the letters are all written out by hand and everything. And then 16th of November, the Yardbirds. And boy, was Eric Clapton green, I'm telling you. Just the year before this, he was, playing in a duo in pubs around Surrey, England, southwest of London, the birthplace of Mr. Clapton, or Slow Hand. And then earlier this year, in '63, he was a member of two groups, the Roosters and Casey Jones and the Engineers. The very year of this poster, so that's wild. And then in October, the month before this show, Clapton joined the Yardbirds. And they were brand new as well. Just the month before that, in September, had they adopted the name the Yardbirds. They had been banging around, all of '63 under names like the Blue Sounds. Their guitarist, by the way, the new Yardbirds there, I guess, wait a minute, that was Zeppelin's name. So let's say the newly formed Yardbirds, had a guitarist named Top Topham, and he had left the group. So in October, Clapton replaced him. And he played with the Yardbirds for about a year and a half. Now, nicely, a month after this poster, in December of '63, the group was recorded live. And it became a live album. Now, it wouldn't be released for a couple of more years until the Yardbirds got real famous with hit singles. But it's, the cover of that album is really a perfect photo to match this poster I'm showing you today. And here is the picture of that album, and boy, look at Eric Clapton right there in the center with that gray suit. Is that just amazing how he looks? Wow. And then left to right you've got singer Keith Relf, Chris Straja, rhythm guitarist, he's somewhat hidden back there, and then of course Clapton, and then bassist Paul Samwell Smith in the upper right, and drummer Jim McCarty in the lower right. Wow, so don't forget now, Clapton is the only member, three-time member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in America, inducted for his time in the Yardbirds, as well as Cream, and as a solo act. And Mr. C would play the Royal Albert Hall in London over 200 times, which he considers to be like his living room, And yet, at the time of this poster, he had never stepped on the stage there yet. So, just love the early stuff. You know, he eventually left the Yardbirds because they just went too pop for him. As soon as their first hit single, For Your Love, was released, he was out of there. Clapton was gone. No thanks. He wanted to stick, you know, he was a blues purist at the time and really wanted to stick with that. And who did he move on to? Well, how about the second act on this poster? That's right. So he moved in 65, but here in 63, right under the Yardbirds, you've got John Mayall and his Blues Breakers on November 23rd. And heck, Mayall had formed this group, his first band, essentially only in March. So this is way before any Mayall recordings were made. And if you know your rock and blues history, heck, over 100 musicians eventually passed through Mayall's Blues Breakers. And in addition to Clapton, there still were people that went on to, Mayall's musicians went on into groups like the Stones, Rolling Stones, Cream, and Fleetwood Mac. And then, as you can see, the third, well, not third build, it's a third different date, November 30th, the Paramounts. And they featured, singer and keyboardist Gary Brooker and guitarist Robin Trower. So that outfit would morph into Procol Harum 4 years later. And yes, that is Brooker's haunting, sublime vocal featured on the 1967 smash, A Wider Shade of Pale. Boy, what a concert poster, I'll tell you, just filled with future successes. All these musicians on here, and of course it's, might be the earliest known Yardbirds concert poster. I mean, certainly with Clapton, since he had just joined the month prior as an 18-year-old. Wonderful, wonderful early historic stuff. Just love this. Thanks a lot for dropping by today, and we'll see you again for something soon. Bye-bye.